you can use this to go to a trade school as well.
Yes. Yeah, and I kind of mentioned that there in the beginning. And yes, in fact, over the last, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years, the top winner has been someone who's been a diesel mechanic going to a trade school. You know, they're not going to your typical 4-year university or even a community college for that matter.
Landline now. Welcome back. For many years, the OOIDA Mary Johnston Scholarship has helped the children, grandchildren, and legal dependents of truckers get an education. And now it's ready for another round of potential scholars. Here with the information you need is Andrew King, Assistant Director of the OOIDA Foundation. Andrew, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Well, glad to have you here. Let's kind of start at the start.
Yeah.
For those who aren't familiar, can you describe what the OOIDA Mary Johnston Scholarship is?
Yes. So this scholarship was founded in 1998, and obviously it's named after its founder, Mary Johnston. And she had a particular vision or desire, and that was to be able to help those who wouldn't normally have access to something like a scholarship. So our scholarship program is very different than others. It's not super involved, and it doesn't have a GPA requirement, and it is available not just for something like a 4-year university, but it's also technical schools and things like that. And so that has been a blessing to many. And so what we do, we're actually opening up our season right now to accept scholarships. And we have a committee that is made up of board members, their wives, and even some employees. And they will review all of those scholarship applications after the due date is completed, which is always February 1st. So we're opening season now. It will close February 1st of 2025. And then we shoot those off to our committee and they review it. And basically, by the end, they'll select 5 winners. And the top winner will receive $2,000, and that's renewable up to 4 years. And then the other 4 receive $1,000 each, which is also renewable up to 4 years. And so that's kind of our program in a nutshell. And it's really not that difficult, especially considering it's really just some basic information. And then there's an essay that we ask for the applicants to fill out.
Who's eligible?
So anyone who's can be a child or grandchild or legal dependent of an OOIDA member. And that means even if you were a member and you lived in Canada, you could still apply. We usually get that question at least once a year. So they're eligible as well. And as long as you are under the age of 22 or 22 and younger, you can apply. So say you're already in college, you could still apply to this as long as you meet that age requirement. And even if you have a child or grandchild who has already taken or has tried to apply in the past and say they didn't get it, they can keep applying. And so you can keep applying every year until that age eligibility, you age out of that, which I think is a nice thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to allow a lot more people to have access to that.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's walk through how you apply here. And first of all, where do you find the application form?
Well, there's 2 things you can do. One is you could email me, and that's Andrew_King at OOIDA.com. Or even I've been doing the scholarship for a long time now, but actually Charles Sperry will be picking that up here shortly. And so he's also one you could email. But the other way, and perhaps the way that is more common, is just going through our website. So you can go to www.ooida.com/scholarship-program. And if that is too difficult, you could simply use whatever search engine that you use, Google or what have you, and type in OOIDA Scholarship, and it'll be the first thing that pops up. And there you can find information about the scholarship program, a little bit of what we just talked about, what's required, and then you can also apply through that online portal.
Let's talk a little bit about the application form. What sort of information are you asking for there?
Most of it's pretty general, where you live, and of course we're going to want to know your age because that's kind of a big teller. And then the other thing that's pretty important is your membership number. So who's sponsoring you? So hopefully you have that with you when you apply, or if you give this, maybe you're listening and you think, oh, my granddaughter would love this. Make sure that they have your membership number. That makes it a lot easier on our end, because for them to be eligible, they have to be sponsored by you. So make sure that they have that information. But we'll look for things like, what high school did they go to, or are they going to? When are they going to graduate? And even, sending in a picture of themselves so that we have that photo ready. So if they do win, one thing that we like to do is we'll contact their local newspaper, but we also put a little spiel about it in the magazine, right, every year. So we give a little thing about each one, and we love to share that. So it's nothing too intensive. And then the other thing beside that is, we'll ask for a high school transcript, or if they're in college, their college transcript. They don't have to send both, but you can if you want to, if they are in college already. And then, of course, is the essay that we talked about briefly before. And that's really just 3 questions. And it's seeking to understand your connection with the trucking industry, to know a little bit about you. And then that third question, which is really perhaps it's the most important. I feel like when I talk to committee members, that's the one they focus on the most. So just a hint or a little helping nugget there. And that's asking, where do you see trucking going, the trucking industry, in the next 5 to 10 years? And so you can tell really quickly which ones have actually asked or done a little research, and those that maybe just kind of put something down, So I would recommend you strongly spend some time on that one. It is a 500-word minimum, but you can go above that, and sometimes we do, and that's always good as well.
Okay. I know there's also a cover letter that people send in. What sort of information are you looking for in the cover letter? Well,
the cover letter is really just more of what we've sent them. If they download the thing and they can mail it in. So that's a good point. Another thing is you don't have to do it online. You can mail in your scholarship application as long as it's postmarked before February 1st or on February 1st. Even that would work. So we usually give it a week or so, because it takes a long time to get to us before we truly cut it off and accept nothing else. But again, it has to be postmarked before that date. So that's really the cover letter. It's not necessarily something that they have to add in themselves. And I will say there are some, and this is not required, but a number of them will send in letters of recommendation from a teacher or someone in their community. And that is always something that is super helpful. And even just giving a little information about activities or things that they're involved in, different clubs or choirs or sports or job. We ask for that information. That's unfortunately not everyone takes that opportunity to really put that in there. And again, that's another thing that the committee members want to look at. It's not so much your grades, though that's not unimportant, but they really want to see what kind of activities you're involved in. Are you getting involved in things, like your community, your neighborhood, you have a job, that sort of thing. They really love to see that.
Okay. One of the things that I think is interesting about this, too, and we don't talk about it a lot, but we generally tend to think about college, that we are giving a scholarship to people going to college, to universities.
Right.
But you can use this to go to a trade school as well.
Yes. Yeah, and I kind of mentioned that there in the beginning. And yes, in fact, over the last, maybe 2 or 3 years, the top winner has been someone who's been a diesel mechanic going to a trade school. They're not going to your typical 4-year university or even a community college for that matter. So yeah, absolutely. All those are eligible to apply for this.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the kind of the history of this thing. How many people have received money through this program?
We are now at 130.
130.
Yeah. So it didn't always used to be 5 at the very beginning. I think it was 4 when it first started, or might even been less than that. And so it has evolved over time to 5 now. And of course, hopefully in the future, we'll be able to expand this program even more.
Okay. And how is the money raised? Because I think a lot of people don't realize where this money is coming from.
Mostly donations from members, but also from OOSI. And Even some corporations, Shell has in the past has donated money to the scholarship fund. So it has been building over time through things like that. And that has been really helpful. And in fact, when we talk about awards, we've actually given away a little over $430,000. So almost $250,000, which is not, a small chunk of change.
Almost $500,000.
Yeah. What did I say? Oh, I said quarter. Yes,
Yeah.
right. Half. Thank you. Since its foundation, which is quite substantial. When we look at the individual awards, you think, well, $2,000, $1,000, maybe that's not going to pay for a whole semester, but it can. Every little bit makes a difference. And of course, you add that up over the course of the 4 years that you're eligible. That can add up pretty fast.
And you mentioned a lot of the money comes from OOSI. Of course, we're talking here about Owner Operator Services,
Yes.
Inc., which is a subsidiary of OOIDA that handles things, for example, like the truck insurance.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for explaining that. Absolutely.
Okay. I know that you've kept track of a lot of the scholarship recipients over the years and kept in touch with them, kept up on what they're doing. How are some of them doing? I mean, what is the kind of the tone of that?
We usually get, we'll send out periodically a little, we'll just reach out to the people who've won in the past, and they are pretty good about responding, and they're very positive, saying how much they really appreciated the scholarship or that they wouldn't be able to have done what they've done without it. And, some, maybe they received that when they started college, but they went into, a graduate program or that sort of thing. And so we have a number of people who've done, across the gamut as far as their degree. We've had master's degree in aerospace, aeronautic, and space engineering from the University of Minnesota. We've had people who've majored in biology and psychology. We've had people who've majored in pharmacy, or even one that even was a legislative director for a former Michigan State representative. I mean, anything and everything you can think of. And some have direct connection to trucking, but a lot of them actually don't, and that's totally fine. It's not just meant for that element. It's meant for everything. And so we've got a lot of positive feedback over the years of people who have received help from the scholarship program. And I always love, they'll send in little notes or emails of how much they appreciate it and give a little information about where they are in their life and the things that they've experienced. And I share that with the committee in particular, because we do have a really good group of, committee members, but they do a wonderful job in selecting, those kids. And we have a very high percentage of people graduating, and it's just a joy to see them succeed and move on to other things, and also just hear about what's going on.
Okay. Well, I'm wondering, once again, if you can go through where you get information and again, how you apply for this.
Yeah, so you can. The easiest way, perhaps, is really just go to the search engine, because I know, given the actual link can be a little lengthy. But if you go to whatever search engine you use and type in Mary Johnston Scholarship Program or OOIDA Scholarship, it's going to be the first thing that pops up, and you can get all the information about what the program entails and a little bit about its history, and you can even get the application itself. You can download it, fill it out, and mail it in. Or you can even fill it out there online. And of course, as I mentioned before, you can also reach out to me or Charles in the foundation department, and we can get that information to you and answer any questions that you might have.
Fantastic. Andrew, thank you very much for the information.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I've been talking with Andrew King, Assistant Director of the OOIDA Foundation, about the OOIDA Mary Johnston Scholarship. And once again, folks, you can Google it, or you can go to OOIDA.com, and under Foundation, click on Scholarship Program. You can also email Andrew at andrew_king@OOIDA.com. We'll be back in just a moment with more news and information. I'm Mark Reddick, and this is Landline Now.